On October 7th, 2024, the world watched in shock as Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel, catching everyone off guard. This audacious assault, originating from the Gaza Strip, marked a significant turning point in the long-standing Israeli-Palestinian conflict, altering the dynamics in an unprecedented manner. The images were stark and haunting. Militants breaching Israeli defenses with ease, a barrage of rockets illuminating the night sky, and fear gripping the streets of Israeli cities, leaving them eerily deserted. The attack sent shockwaves far beyond the immediate borders, igniting a chain reaction that quickly engulfed the entire region in a new wave of violence and uncertainty, with no end in sight. The international community, caught off guard by the audacity and scale of the attack, scrambled to respond with urgency and concern. Condemnations poured in from world leaders, urging restraint and calling for an immediate cessation of hostilities. But their words seemed to fall on deaf ears. But the situation on the ground was rapidly spiraling out of control, with chaos and violence becoming the new norm. Israel, vowing swift and decisive retaliation, launched a full-scale military offensive against Hamas in Gaza, intensifying the conflict. The conflict quickly escalated, drawing in regional actors and threatening to ignite a wider conflagration that could engulf the entire Middle East. Hezbollah, the powerful Iran-backed Shia militant group based in Lebanon, pledged solidarity with Hamas and threatened to open a second front against Israel from the north, further complicating the situation. The world held its breath, fearing the worst as tensions reached a boiling point. The specter of a full-blown regional war with unimaginable consequences loomed large, casting a dark shadow over the future. The Hamas attack had ripped open old wounds, inflamed long-standing tensions, and plunged the Middle East into a perilous new chapter, fraught with danger and uncertainty. True to their word, Hezbollah, a formidable force with deep roots in Lebanon, joined the fight. Rocket attacks targeted Israeli positions from southern Lebanon, marking a dangerous escalation and confirming the fears of many. The conflict was spreading. Israel, already embroiled in a fierce battle with Hamas in Gaza, now faced a two-front war. The Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, responded with force, launching airstrikes against suspected Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. The once quiet border region, still bearing the scars of past conflicts, was once again transformed into a battleground. Lebanese civilians, caught in the crossfire, bore the brunt of the escalating violence. The situation in Lebanon deteriorated rapidly. Airstrikes targeted key infrastructure, including Beirut's international airport, crippling transportation and communication networks. Essential supplies dwindled, and hospitals, overwhelmed with casualties, struggled to cope with the influx of wounded. The Lebanese government, grappling with a crippling economic crisis and deep political divisions, seemed ill-prepared for another devastating conflict. As the fighting raged on, fears grew that Lebanon, still reeling from past traumas, would once again become the battleground for a conflict not of its own making. The human toll of the conflict in Lebanon was immediate and devastating, leaving a trail of destruction and despair in its wake. Hundreds of civilians, including women and children, lost their lives in the relentless crossfire, their dreams and futures abruptly cut short. Thousands more were injured, many suffering life-altering injuries that would forever change their lives and the lives of their families. Hospitals, overwhelmed with casualties, struggled to cope with the influx of wounded, their resources stretched thin and their staff exhausted. The United Nations estimated that over 1 million people in Lebanon were displaced from their homes, seeking refuge in overcrowded shelters or fleeing to neighboring countries in search of safety. The exodus of refugees, many with only the clothes on their backs, added to the humanitarian crisis unfolding in the region, creating a dire need for international assistance. The stories emerging from Lebanon were heartbreaking, filled with loss, pain, and a longing for peace. families torn apart by bombs, children orphaned, and communities shattered by the relentless cycle of violence, left to pick up the pieces of their broken lives. The psychological scars of war, invisible but no less real, ran deep, leaving an indelible mark on the collective psyche of the nation, affecting generations to come. The international community watched in horror as the humanitarian crisis in Lebanon deepened, calling for urgent action and support. Aid agencies struggled to deliver essential supplies, hampered by the ongoing fighting and the destruction of key infrastructure, making their mission even more challenging. The situation was dire, a stark reminder of the human cost of war and the urgent need for a peaceful resolution to end the suffering and restore hope. Israel, facing a determined and well-prepared enemy in Hezbollah, adopted a multi-pronged strategy aimed at neutralizing the threat from the north. This strategy was meticulously planned and involved various military tactics. Central to this comprehensive plan was the establishment of a buffer zone inside Lebanon. This zone was designed to push Hezbollah forces back from the border and create a security perimeter for Israeli towns and villages, ensuring the safety of civilians. The IDF launched a significant ground offensive into southern Lebanon, meeting fierce and relentless resistance from Hezbollah fighters who were well prepared for the confrontation. Hezbollah, deeply entrenched in the region and possessing a vast and sophisticated arsenal of rockets and missiles, proved to be a formidable adversary. Their fortified positions made them difficult to dislodge. They employed effective guerrilla tactics, using their intimate knowledge of the rugged terrain to their advantage and launching surprise attacks on Israeli forces, often catching them off guard. The fighting was intense and brutal, marked by heavy casualties on both sides. The conflict saw numerous soldiers under heavy fire struggling to gain ground. Israel's superior firepower, including artillery and air support, was met with Hezbollah's determination and tactical prowess, making each battle a test of endurance and strategy. The conflict eventually settled into a deadly stalemate, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. Both forces dug into defensive positions, leading to a prolonged and grueling battle. Israel's buffer zone strategy, while successful in pushing Hezbollah back from the immediate border area, came at a high price. The operations were costly and resource-intensive. The fighting caused widespread destruction in southern Lebanon, displacing thousands more civilians and further exacerbating the already dire humanitarian crisis. The impact on the local population was devastating. Hezbollah, though weakened by the conflict, remained a potent force, capable of regrouping and launching deadly attacks on Israeli targets. Their resilience posed an ongoing threat to regional stability. In a dramatic turn of events, Hassan Nasrallah, the charismatic and influential leader of Hezbollah, was killed in an Israeli airstrike. The targeted assassination of Nasrallah, a revered figure among his followers, sent shockwaves through the region. Hezbollah, vowing swift and merciless revenge, intensified their attacks on Israel. Rockets rained down on Israeli cities, causing widespread panic and disruption. Israel, in turn, escalated its military campaign, targeting Hezbollah strongholds and infrastructure in Lebanon. The death of Nasrallah also had significant geopolitical ramifications. Iran, Hezbollah's main backer and a key player in the region, condemned the assassination in the strongest terms. Tensions between Israel and Iran, already high, escalated further, raising fears of a direct confrontation between the two archenemies. The assassination of Nasrallah, while a significant blow to Hezbollah, risked further inflaming the conflict and drawing Iran more deeply into the fray. The region held its breath, bracing for the possibility of a wider, more devastating conflict.